Hello, I'm Community Relations Officer Jim Long.
And I'm Officer Angela Haseman. Welcome to Plymouth Police Department show, Along for the Ride. In this month's show, we will be learning more about the Police Department's traffic unit and how enforcing traffic laws keeps everyone safe.
In addition, we'll be talking with a member of our Community Emergency Response Team about the importance of planning for emergencies. So join us for the next half hour as we take you along for the ride.
On nearly every show, we invite our traffic unit to present tips to help you stay safe when driving. Today, we have one of our regular guests, Officer Dave Groth, here to talk about the traffic unit, what they do, and why traffic safety is so important. Thank you, Dave, for being here today.
You're welcome.
Can you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been with the Plymouth Police Department for approximately 20 years, assigned to the Patrol Division, and the last, going on 10 years, I've been with the Traffic Enforcement Unit.
10 years?
10 years already.
How long, when did it start?
It started in approximately 1994, 95. It was formed to deal with all the traffic-related problems around the city, of which there are lots. The City Council wanted us to address those issues in the neighborhoods, such as speeding on residential streets and stop sign violations, and try and reduce crashes and work at a lot of problem locations throughout the city.
So what do you do as being assigned to the traffic unit? Do you just run radar, or what all do you do to enforce those laws?
We do radar, and these days we use laser more often than radar. But we spend time in the neighborhoods addressing specific complaints, whether it's speeding on a residential street or a lot of crosswalk violations. We'll watch the crosswalks for a while. Stop signs, commercial vehicle problems, but speeding is probably the most common complaint in the residential areas.
What do you see as some of the most common laws, besides speeding, that you see being broken?
Speeding and stop sign violations, and a lot of texting and just basic inattentive driving is a very common problem. A lot of people are texting, looking at GPSs, things like that, and just not paying attention.
So is it obvious when you're following a car that they're texting or they're looking at their GPS in the manner that they drive?
Right, yeah, you can usually tell they're looking down and a lot of times weaving a little bit. And the problem is when we're in our squad cars, they'll see us and they'll stop doing that behavior.
People get really upset when you pull them over for traffic violations, but really it is important. Why is it so important?
It's critically important. Our goal is to change driving behavior to save lives and get people to slow down and just basically change their driving behavior if they're doing something illegal and unsafe. So yeah, traffic enforcement's really, really a big deal in Plymouth. It also does a good job of stopping crimes from happening. It's something that's hard to measure, but any stop we make could be deterring some type of crime from occurring. And it also, traffic enforcement helps solve a lot of crimes, whether we find stolen materials, people, wanted people, and drugs, other things. Traffic enforcement will lead to a lot of different
So I'm guessing maybe criminals aren't the best drivers in the world.
Well, you never know. They may not be. They may not be. Sometimes they may be trying too careful to hide their behavior. So.
Can you talk a little bit about seatbelt usage, and have you seen that improving through the years?
Yes. Well, a couple times a year we do seatbelt surveys where we'll watch a location and count approximately 100 cars that we can see if they're wearing it or not, and we track it. And when we first started doing these surveys a few years ago, it was around 80% usage or so, but it's well into the low 90s now. So it's gone up quite a bit.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
Now, at specific times in the year, you guys do special details where you enforce specific types of traffic laws. Can you talk a little bit about some of those details?
A lot of multi-jurisdictional details. Once a month, Plymouth Police Department works with Maple Grove and Minnetonka Police Department, and we do details in each city rotating, whether it's speeds or crosswalks or other issues. So we do that once a month. But then throughout the year, we have other details, some that are funded by grant monies for DWI enforcement, distracted driving enforcement, seatbelt enforcement. Also, with the traffic unit, we work with the State Patrol commercial vehicle inspectors and do a lot of details with them also. And one of my duties in the traffic unit is commercial vehicle enforcement. So I do that as an extra duty as well. We do inspections of the vehicle and of the drivers. And weight enforcement also.
Okay.
Yep. We make sure the drivers, depending on the size truck they have, make sure they have the right level driver's license, a Class A or B or
Sure.
C or D. And then also, weights and equipment issues.
Okay. In the time that you've been in the traffic unit, you've heard an awful lot of excuses.
Oh yes, people are late, just not paying attention, they're lost.
Do they generally understand why they're being pulled over?
Oh,
Do they
usually.
normally admit to, yeah, you know what, I was in the wrong?
Yeah, most of the time. But sometimes you'll stop a person who's going way over the speed limit, just very obviously violating, and they'll say, nope, I was going exactly the speed limit. It's like, okay, I think you know you weren't, but they that's their story.
So I imagine you write a lot of citations as part of the traffic unit. Are there other avenues that you take as well, diversion programs or warnings, things like that?
We write a lot of citations, but we also have a diversion program for newer drivers, for 16, 17-year-olds. The officer has the option of issuing them a diversion citation, and it's for first-time offenders for petty misdemeanors such as speeding. And they have the option of taking this diversion ticket and then attending a class, and a parent must attend with them, and it's held once a month. It's about a 3-hour-long class, and then the ticket doesn't go on their driving record. We also give a large number of warnings, whether a written warning or a verbal warning. So, we give a lot of those, and a lot of times it's the appropriate thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, before you go, if you could just leave the viewers with maybe like top 3, 4 things that they should keep in mind when driving.
Pay attention, slow down, don't follow too close. The 3 leading causes of deaths in traffic crashes are still speeding, distracted driving, and alcohol. So if people can avoid those major things, we'll see a big decrease in crashes and fatalities.
Great.
Well, some great advice today and
Absolutely.
great tips. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Each year, the Plymouth Police Department hosts a Citizens Public Safety Academy. The Citizens Academy is a free 36-hour, 12-week course designed to give citizens the opportunity to learn more about the operations and responsibilities of the police department. The Academy is open to adults who live or work in Plymouth, and students meet one night each week from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. An effective partnership with the community is attained through the sharing of information and understanding of public safety services. A well-informed citizenry is the greatest ally of law enforcement. Some of the topics covered during the past sessions have included the history of policing, patrol operations, police tactics, different police divisions and positions, 911 Dispatch Communication Center, how investigations are conducted, an opportunity to go on a ride-along, and decision shooting scenarios. Past participants consistently give the experience very high marks, and the success of the program is due to the commitment and expertise of the speakers who make the evening informational. Most of the speakers are officers of the Plymouth Police Department. Plans are underway to conduct a Citizens Academy in the fall of 2013. If you are interested in attending the 2013 Citizens Academy, please give me a call at 763-509-5135.
There are many different types of emergency situations that can occur. Most emergencies unfold quickly and are confusing and frightening. As we have talked about on our show in the past, an emergency situation is not the time to come up with a plan.
That's right. And the City of Plymouth has been working very hard to make sure we are prepared for any type of emergency. We know that in the event of a large-scale disaster, our emergency services will be stretched to capacity. So, in 2008, the Plymouth Police Department began a Community Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as CERT. CERT members provide critical support in emergency situations, such as the 2009 tornado that went through Plymouth.
In addition, CERT helps at various community events. CERT has been a very important addition to the police department. Since they began, they have donated thousands of hours to the police department. Today, we will be talking to Plymouth CERT member Pam Darnell about the Community Emergency Response Team. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start out by telling us how you got involved in CERT?
I was involved, unfortunately, in a disaster, and I realized I was inadequately prepared. So when I heard that the City of Plymouth was going to be starting a CERT team, I thought this is a great way that I can help others be more prepared, not have to go through what I went through, and also being a part of the community.
Good for you.
Wow.
How many CERT members are there?
We have 25.
Okay.
And what kind of training do you go through to become a CERT member?
Initially, we went through 32 hours of training, but then we have ongoing training. We try to conduct a training about every other month. Our initial training, we were trained in emergency preparedness, firefighting, light search and rescue, psychology of disasters.
So then you train every month or every other month?
About every other month we try.
Okay. And then how often are you actually called out, or do you do certain functions and events?
We do both. We have
Okay.
been called out for emergencies where we've been beneficial. We were called out in the tornado that you mentioned, and in that instance we provided perimeter control, so that freed up firefighters and police officers to do other tasks such as house-to-house searches and making sure there are no gas leaks or fires.
It's great to know that you're in existence and the police and fire are there to help people, but we got to admit that people have to take their own responsibility for what they need to do in an emergency situation. So talk a little bit about what individual families or individuals should be thinking about if a disaster should come.
Before the disaster,
Right.
everybody should have a plan. Know what the disasters that could happen in our area, severe weather, tornadoes, fires, and loss of utilities. Those are kind of the primary things in our area. Know your contact numbers. Every family member, where are they at home, work, in school? Know how to contact them. Have those phone numbers readily available. Have them in your wallet, your purse, so you have access to them so you can reach your loved ones. Know where your meeting locations are going to be. You should have 3 of them. One right outside of your house in case you have a fire. All members can meet up at that location. You know that everybody is okay. You should have one right outside of your neighborhood in case there's a tornado or something like that where you can't get into your neighborhood. And then also a 3rd location is ideal outside of the city in case it's a very large scale event and you have to meet
Sure.
up there.
Oh, that's a really good
Yeah.
idea. So you've got all these meeting locations, then it's always a good idea to have some sort of kit or emergency supplies too, correct?
That is very correct, yeah. A lot of people think that it's overwhelming to put together a kit because there's so many things that could go in there.
I know that feeling.
And a lot of people just choose not to do it because it's just too much, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's pretty easy and it actually can be pretty fun if you involve all your family.
So now let's talk a little bit about what should actually go into the kit. And Pam, you were saying that you can divide what can go in the kit into 3 different categories. What were they again?
I like to think of it as you have to have it
Okay,
items,
okay.
you should have items, and then the things that are just going to make life a whole lot easier if you do have.
Okay, and we're starting here with the,
These are the must-haves.
okay,
Okay.
You have to have water,
sure.
And about how much water?
1 gallon per person per day.
Per day,
And it's
okay.
recommended to have 3 days supply at a minimum, so 3 gallons for each family member.
Okay, all right.
And you also need food, and it's best to have high energy, prepackaged food that's not going to require any cooking.
Okay.
And some of
Good
the
idea.
examples we have here are prepackaged tuna salad and tuna and peanut butter. They can go on crackers, and then there's some dried fruit as well.
And I see that this tuna is in a bag. You don't need a can opener.
Correct.
Ah,
Okay,
good
all right.
idea.
Makes your kit a lot lighter that
it,
way.
got it.
Goody. So we have water and food, and then also,
Medications. If there are any medications that you need, either prescription or over the counter, that you have to have on a daily basis, make sure that that is in your kit.
great. So now we know what we should have in
The
our kit.
have-to-haves.
The have-to-haves.
The
These are the
have-to-haves.
have-to-haves in our kit.
Yep.
All right, now what do we have here?
Well, we've talked about the have-to-have items, and now we're going to talk about the should-have items.
Okay.
And that consists of a NOAA weather alert radio that's going to alert you, as I mentioned earlier,
Good idea.
about severe weather approaching.
And where can you get these?
Most of the grocery stores have them. I know Cub and Rainbow provide them
Okay.
and during the severe weather, which we're coming upon, so they should be in there. Also have a battery-operated AM/FM radio. If it has a weather band on it, that's great. This one happens to have a crank so you don't have to worry about batteries going dead on you.
Good idea.
It's important to have a flashlight or some glow sticks, some means of if the power goes out that you can navigate safely. A first aid kit,
Good idea. Good.
and also your contact information. And we have the File of Life that you can record all of your contact information, medical history, things like that that you need.
And
Backing up a little bit, make sure your batteries work in your flashlight. Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. They
Just
also
so-
have crank flashlights also that
Okay,
so you don't
sure.
or shake ones.
wow. So, and then the File of Life card, you can get those obviously from the Plymouth Police Department. And that's great because that's right on your refrigerator, so you can just grab it and go.
And then our final category for our kits are the...
Things that are just going to make life a whole lot easier if you have them around.
I see that right off the
All
bat.
right.
Well,
so
why don't
can
we
you
start?
talk a little bit about this?
Well, comb and brush, reading glasses if you're in the category that you need those,
Always
Yes,
good to
yes.
have.
some chapstick, hand sanitizer, shampoo, conditioner, soap,
Underarm deodorant?
underarm deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, some wipes, handy wipes, toilet
Don't
paper.
forget the toilet
Yep.
paper.
Of course.
Some cash in case the ATM machines aren't working.
That's
the
a really
credit
good
card machines
idea
aren't
because
working.
a lot
Good
of
idea.
people are electronic, so it's good to have some
Yep.
good old-fashioned cash there.
Yep, and something to do. If you have the power out for a long time, have something to do. It could be a book, it could be a deck of cards, a game, especially if you have little kids. It's best to keep things as normal as possible for them
Right.
so they don't focus on
And then also we have some extra clothes.
Yep, a set of clothes. You can have it in a vacuum pack. A set of clothes
that's a great idea.
appropriate for the season. You
Sure.
wouldn't want polar fleece and heavy blue jeans and turtleneck for the middle of summer. So you would have change this out.
Okay. And then
Perfect.
just one packet for each member of the family?
Exactly.
Well, that's
Great
really
ideas.
easy. And then I also noticed that you keep all of your supplies in just a small rolling suitcase,
Yep.
like the size you'd get on an airplane, right?
Exactly. It makes it really mobile, especially if people can't lift very much. You can keep it in a suitcase. You can keep it in a big plastic bin, or you can keep it in a backpack. And it's best to have a kit for the home and one that you can take with you, have it in your car, work, things like that as well.
Perfect.
Well, we've covered everything that you need for your family, but some people have furry members of their family. Can you talk a little bit about what to do in emergency for pets?
Exactly. Everything that you would do for the humans,
Okay.
members of your family, do for your pets. Make sure that they have food. You can have canned food, dry food, whatever they like, because they're going to be stressed out in a disaster as well. So
Sure.
give them what they are used to having. Make sure that you have their vaccination records
Oh, yeah.
and a photo of you and your pets. If you get evacuated to a shelter, you can't take your pets with you. There will be special shelters set up just for your animals. And so it's best to have everything that you need with your pet, your food, your vaccination records, a photo of you and your pet, a carrier to put them in, harness, leash, and take that all together and drop it off at the shelter, and they will log you in and keep track of your pet while you're in another shelter.
Oh, that's a really great idea, something
Great
that most
tips.
of us wouldn't have thought
Right.
about.
Absolutely. Great tips.
So thank you so much.
Yep.
That's real easy to do. I think that even I
is.
could go home and put a kit together like that.
I don't, you could?
is.
I think I could.
I think I could too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty easy.
So if I could do it, anybody could do
yeah,
it.
that's, I was going to say that, but I didn't want to.
Now, I also know that you do a lot of presentations. You go to some of our community events and encourage people, but you've got a new apartment presentation that you're giving. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Again, yep, we're just starting it. We thought that we're going to expand beyond just being at the city events and having our booth on preparedness. And now we're going to start going out and giving presentations to our apartments, including our senior housing, and give presentations on how easy it is to get a plan together. A lot of it is free, having those numbers written down and putting together a kit, pretty easy. Most people have all those things in your house. And just to help everybody. If we can just get one person to be better prepared, we've done our job.
You know, I think another way that people should pay attention to warnings and alerts and that sort of thing, and not think, you know what, I can ride this out and I don't have to take precautions.
Definitely. Watches are saying that conditions are right for something bad to happen. Usually that's in severe weather. it hasn't been spotted yet, there's not a tornado on the ground, but the conditions are right. When you have a warning and the sirens are going off, those are intended to be for outdoor notification, not indoor. Take warning, and if it's a tornado, head to the lowest level of your apartment or home, away from any windows or glass.
Important this time of year.
So if there is anything that your number one piece of advice that you'd like to give our audience, what would that be as far as emergency preparedness?
Make a plan. Get your plan together, get your kit together, and after you've done it and practiced, help your family and friends and have some peace of mind.
Good idea. Good
Great.
tips.
Thank you so much
for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This year, Plymouth will join other Minnesota communities by celebrating Night to Unite on Tuesday, August 6th, 2013. The goal of Night to Unite is to encourage neighbors to get to know one another and create strong neighborhood crime prevention networks. To learn more about Night to Unite or to register your 2013 event, visit the City of Plymouth website at www.plymouthmn.gov.
Well, let's get to our viewer questions. Our first question came from Kirsten. She asked, I don't have any valuables in my car. Should I leave it unlocked so that potential thieves don't break into my car and find nothing?
Well, believe it or not, Kirsten, we get asked that question a lot. However, we still recommend that you lock your car whenever you park it. While you may not think that you have anything valuable in your car, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything of value to a criminal. Do you have paperwork in your glove box with personal information on it, like your insurance card or registration? Do you leave a garage door opener on your visor? There have been a few reported cases of criminals breaking into parked cars and stealing the garage remote and insurance or registration card out of the car. The criminals then go to the victim's home, use the garage door opener to get into the house, and burglarize it. While this is not common, it is something that everyone should be aware of.
That's right. If you do have more obvious items of value in your car like a GPS system, it is better not to have your home programmed into the computer. Use a nearby grocery store or gas station as your home location instead. That way, if your GPS is stolen, criminals can't find out how to get to your home.
Our next viewer question is from Michael. Michael had a question regarding what can be done if his neighbor's dog is barking and causing a disturbance. We need to realize that all dogs bark from time to time. It's how they communicate, how they tell us if they are in distress or if they're bored. It's how they warn us when they think their territory is being threatened. So, I want you to think about the behavior. Is it typical dog behavior or excessive? Does that dog bark between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. intermittently for more than 3 minutes or more than 5 minutes outside that time period? If the answer is yes, then the dog owners are in violation of the noise ordinance.
I would recommend that your next step would be talking personally and calmly with your neighbors. They may not know that there is an issue. Be specific and include the times of day you are disturbed and the length of the time the dog has been barking. If you are concerned for your safety when dealing with neighbors who may be irrational, consider giving them a note, again calmly stating your concerns. We always encourage residents to try to deal with the issue in a peaceful way before immediately reporting it to the police department. That sometimes can cause animosity between neighbors. If you are still not seeing an improvement, then the next step is to call the non-emergency number 763-525-6210 and a community service officer will be dispatched to the address. If the community service officer observes a violation of the noise ordinance, they will either warn the resident or issue a citation. This usually takes care of the problem. I hope this is helpful information to you, Michael. Do you have a question for us? If so, call us at 763-509-5139. If you give us your address, we will send you an Along for the Ride coffee mug. Let's take a look at some recent crimes that were reported in Plymouth and some tips to help prevent them. With the building of new homes in the northwest section of the city, there has been an increase in theft of building materials. Recently, at 50th and Juneau, several $100s worth of plumbing materials were stolen from a home being built. If you see an individual appearing to be casing building sites, driving through the area during dark hours, or loading up materials, call 911 immediately. The police will respond and investigate the situation, but we can't do this without your help. Well, we've all seen it. Someone shopping with her purse unattended in a shopping cart. A reminder to be aware of your surroundings and keep a tab on your belongings. Recently, at 2 separate grocery stores in Plymouth, a cell phone and wallet were stolen from a purse sitting in the shopping cart. In one instance, the owner believes that her wallet was stolen when she wasn't paying attention to her surroundings while she was bagging up her groceries. From all of us at Along for the Ride, practice good security habits and stay safe.
In each episode of Along for the Ride, we highlight some outstanding work by members of the Plymouth Police Department. Well, there was a lot of good work to recognize recently at the Plymouth Police Department's annual recognition event held at the Plymouth Creek Center. The event honors outstanding community involvement and service by both citizens and police employees during the year 2012. This year, 20 citizens and 21 police officers were recognized. Sergeant Bob Topp and his canine partner Saber were honored with the department's Distinguished Service Award for 8 years of outstanding service as a decorated and highly successful canine team. Commendation awards were given to Officers Amy Goodwin, Officer Dan Rice, Detective Darren McGann, and Sergeant John Hunt. Officer Goodwin was honored for her outstanding work in the development and implementation of the police department's investigation of internet crimes against children. Officer Rice and Detective McGann were honored for arresting and investigating 2 individuals who were responsible for a large credit card skimming case. Sergeant John Hunt was honored for his outstanding leadership of the Northwest Metro Drug Task Force for the past 4 years. Life-saving awards went to Officers Dave Anderson, Steve Thomas, Todd Kloss, Steve Dulson, Scott Whiteford, Andy Claiborne, Ryan Hazen, Dave Carlson, Ryan Peterson, Scott Kirchner, and Brian Jeska, along with Sergeants Brian Beanick, Heath Bird, and Curtis Smith, for saving the lives of multiple citizens, including a 17-year-old girl who had had a seizure which caused her to stop breathing. Some of the heroic actions taken by citizens of Plymouth included helping lost autistic children, catching a cell phone thief, performing CPR on a bike rider found unconscious, putting out a fire at a neighbor's home, assisting at the scene of a car crash, pulling victims from a burning car, and subduing a man with a gun. Also, 2 young boys received awards for helping their dad when he had had a seizure. The police department has an internal recognition committee, and any department employee can refer an incident or report to this committee if they think a citizen or officer deserves special recognition. Great job to all of our citizens and officers for 2012. Now, another recent highlight was a medical call. Community Service Officer John Benier and North Memorial paramedics were first on the scene. Working together, they administered oxygen and gave the victim several shocks with an AED. The man in cardiac arrest soon developed a weak heartbeat and was taken to the hospital where he made a full recovery. Congratulations, Community Service Officer Benier. Job well done. Thank you for watching Along for the Ride. We hope you found the show informative. If you have a question or a topic suggestion, please contact us at 763-509-5139.
And don't forget to join us next time as the ride continues.